understanding how they can get waste for value.
And they can source and segregate this waste.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely. Even within, you know, within the industry of waste, within waste in itself, there are various sectors, you know, of waste. There's tire, there's cloth, there's e-waste, there's machines, there's plastic, there's paper. You know, those sectors all represent various aspects, economic opportunities that are seated within those various sectors. In a state like Lagos, as a commercial hub, you would imagine that there's so many things that we can generate in terms of wealth if we really fine-tune the models around, commercial models around them.
You mentioned something about building skills. You know?
Yes.
So I wanted to really talk about what are the specific skills that are needed or that can be built, you know, with the circular economy. So
we already have plastics, like I said again, that is immensely valuable for reproducing various other things. Plastics are used in creating fabric. Plastics are used in build items. Plastics are used in construction. You know, plastics are used in equipment, electronic equipment. You know, so plastic is one. Paper is another. You know, we look at paper and think that, you know, there are so many there's so many derivatives, but there's also the angle of deforestation, because it is trees that are used to, you know, create papers. So we're driving messaging around reducing paper and going as electronic as possible. Clothing can be, you know, upcycled. When we finish using this jacket or something, I can remodel it into something else, and that is an area where there's a lot of creativity going on right now.
We have institutions that can train people in this.
Yes. So we're also beginning to establish that sort of curriculum that can be, you know, incorporated into already existing curriculums with our skills acquisition programs. But also to note that there are a lot of business membership organizations who have also brought in knowledge, you know, from the skills that they have been trained with. And so establishing that ecosystem for our young ones, our youth who want to start looking at areas where they can begin to develop wealth, or they can begin to scale their businesses. So I can ordinarily say that, you know, those who are interested in fashion can actually begin to look at a sustainable line, a sustainable angle of their fashion. So every of their off-cuts, you know, when they finish producing, they can be, you know, they can gain the skill to repurpose. But there's also the aspect of the natural organic raw materials that are used in production of textile. You would notice that we're doing a lot of adire right now, you know, raw materials like our cotton, raw materials like the organic organic dyes, you know. If you know how our ashoke is, our what do they call it, our Ankara, you'll find that the very, very local ones, if you leave them alone in a place that is humid, they begin to mildew by themselves. They begin to build, because, you know, they are degenerative, they have degenerative components, so it's easy for them to decompose quickly. But with our clothes that are made from propylene, from plastic, it takes forever because they already have plastic in them, and they're supposed to be preserving. They're supposed to preserve for a longer period of time. But our issue right now, you know, that Nigeria is also like a dumping ground for this bend down boutique. Now, by the time they bring in these bills and our people sort out, those who are in the commerce of it, they sort out the ones that are useful for them. The rest, which is hugely, marginally more than the ones that are useful for them, end up on the landfill. And these clothes take thousands of years. Even statistics say now that textile pollution, textile fabric is the third highest pollutant for carbon emission. So there's so many things that we're doing in terms of establishing training, creating training accelerator programs, you know, incubators for people who want to enter into the industry, the sustainable industry. In my office, we have what we call the Economy Business Network, and we have started to harvest MSMEs, medium and short term enterprises, small, medium enterprises, that already are playing in eco-green economy. There are some who work with tires, there are some who work with plastic, there are some who work with fashion. We've been able to aggregate at least 400 of businesses like that. Now we're helping to move beyond just providing business support. Business support in terms of how do they run their business? What are their financials like? What is their taxation portfolio like? The soft set skills that they need to be able to run their business. We're moving beyond that right now. We're beginning to connect, co-create with financial institutions so that we can establish a cooperative system where they can have access to funding and they're also able to scale their businesses. But then we also have to stimulate a demand for them in the market, and that's where sensitization comes in. So we go into the communities, we're going into the markets, we're going into the schools, we're getting the children to talk to their parents about the possibility of earning extra money with the waste that they generate. We're also going to the communities to let them understand that there are waste that you generate that you can actually connect with business membership organization in exchange for money. Our mothers that sit at home that don't do anything, they can just be gathering waste wherever they are. Right now, statutorily, a kilogram of pure bottled water, the clean one, sells for 600 naira. And 1 kilogram is 20 bottles. So imagine that you are packing 20 bottles on a daily basis.
Yeah, we see them all the time.
Picking at the party.
Yes. Do you understand? And it's not just plastic alone that is in that landscape, that is in that value chain.
Our colleague over there has a question for you.
Oh, okay.
I know if leaving you
she will just because of the passion she has about
because I know you've been doing this even before you came into government. However, you just touched on some of the things I was bothered about. You talked about the economic business network, which and of course scaling up. But of course, before I get to the numbers, because I'm a numbers guy, I am curious as to how far-reaching do we get our circular economy? Because beyond trying to get as many bottles and get the money, the larger number of people that reside in Lagos, the 20 million people, whether they are from the average, from the rich or to the poor, do we understand the concept, or have we gotten to the level, or haven't we? That's my first question. Then we'll get to how much do we even make from it, or what's the potential like for making money from this?
I said, could this be the next oil for?
I dare to say that it can be the next oil for us. Your question about how, what was the question again?
Do we really get it? Yeah.
We're Africans, we're Nigerians. We're only using mindset for circularity. We just need to get people to transition away from the mindset of the linear economy, which is use your items and just dump it and go. Do you understand? Like I cited examples about how we repurpose our women. We will repurpose our food. Sometimes we repurpose our clothes. Sometimes we repurpose our hair. You understand? Now, if we make it more intentional, more purposeful, and attach some level of incentive to it, and then douse the nuance or douse the technicality of the word in itself, then it's more likely that we can connect. And this is the reason why on our sensitization program right now, we're beginning to skew our messaging to the nuance of each community, right? If we're going to, for instance, a coastal area, right, and they have a lot of, the waters and all of that, we will talk to them about the waste that they produce or that is prevailing in that area, and then tell them, for instance, palm kernel into soap. You know that you can mix it up with water hyacinth. You know that you can put a bit of waste, and these are things that are easily accessible, that are reachable, and convenient for you to pick up, and it is affordable for you to pick up. So you pick up palm kernels or pick up water hyacinth, and they teach you how you can actually combine all of that to turn into a fluid that is flammable and you can use for cooking. Or even plastics that are being used used right now, they're turning them into briquettes. Briquettes are, you know, the non-charcoal. They're not charcoal, but they serve like charcoal. But the carbon emission, the carbon component in it is very, very low, and it's clean energy. And you can put it into a small molten pot, a molten stove, and you know, you can cook with it. And these are things that I feel that are very easily, like, you know, low-hanging fruits that we can get our rural people to be more aware of and be more predisposed to.
Do we have any policy that helps you invest? Because you're talking about $1 million. Have we talked about institutionalizing it in terms of policies to help integrate it into our system in Lagos?
So we're beginning to work on that. You know, these are some of the things. If you know that in Lagos State we have what we call the Climate Action Plan. We have the Climate Action Resilience Plan. Within the framework of the Resilience Plan, some of the things that we have pulled out is that we need to help our communities to develop resilience. We need to help them to mitigate the risk of climate change. And these are some of the vehicles or tools that we want to use to help them to address, you know, issues like this. Now, a policy would come because you would have to draw data. You would have to simulate, you know, projects and programs so that you're able to pull the insights, you can understand the challenges, and you can pull the indices that help you to establish a regulated framework. Ultimately, touching on all of the indices of being equitable, being transparent, being accountable, and ensuring that communities that are involved are touched over. So the process of establishing a policy in itself, you know, takes a while. But whilst we're doing that, what we're doing is to stimulate that demand. Begin to simulate projects. We had a project, we ran a project 4 days ago. We did a closeout. We had been on that project for about 4 months. You know, it was at a correctional facility. And what we did was to simulate the model of waste to green energy by establishing or building a biodigester that harvests organic waste. And organic waste is what you use in the kitchen, your fruits, your food, all of the leaves and things like that, you know, that goes into a biodigester and decomposes over a period of time and goes through chamber to chamber and then ultimately emits methane gas that is used for cooking in the kitchen. And that was, you know, purposefully channeled into the kitchen at that facility. And then we also got from that process a byproduct of organic fertilizer that is being used right now as a component to catalyze the growth, access to organic food. They are able to reduce their cost of purchase, you know, regarding food. They're also able to reduce their cost of LPG gas. The report that they have sent right now is that it's once in a month, right? We have also ensured that that place is designated as a collection center. Collect plastic and they exchange, they collect plastics in exchange for carbon credits, you know, that interprets and, you know, converts to funding for them. So they do not mind, and that's why they are able to pay you 600 naira for 1 kilogram of bottled water. That we have partners who are ready to give us recharge cards, data in exchange for the plastics that they bring to the collection center. We are also working with some ministries and agencies within Lagos, also knowing that, you know, we have a city, a country, a state that is really, really vibrant in terms of building the 21st century theme, according to our governor's themes agenda. So, Themes Plus agenda. So you have there the Ministry of Transport, who has already established a program through the Cowrie, the intermodal transport system. And through the Cowrie, you can have access to either rail or bus or the ferry. Now, you can get social subsidy. You can have your cost of transportation subsidized through that integrated platform if you want it converted for the release of your waste. So there's so many interconnectivity and cross-pollinative ideas that we're already generating. You can have your waste in exchange for health, social health, insurance. You can have it, you know, for discount in your tuition fee, because Lagos State harbors all of this infrastructure and these social amenities already. So it's easy for us to be able to work with these ministries and these agencies and provide some form of reward scheme or payment scheme in exchange for waste. These are the sort of conversations or the type of promises that we can give to our people, to rural areas, you know, for them to begin to tune their minds towards how they should responsibly dispose their waste.
Okay, you've
almost touched everything.
Yes, you have talked about a lot of things, but again, what are some of the challenges that you're going through? You know, you already said that the circular economy is already here, but I think it's more of a re-engineering of our mind, you know. So what are some of the challenges that you're going through to ensure that we really get into this circular economy?
The first challenge is the education of it. People need to understand, and that's why we're trying very hard to simplify as much as possible. That as little as, first and foremost, do not discard your waste. First and foremost, try as much as possible to harvest your waste. Take a minute. We need, first and foremost, to stop throwing our waste and being irresponsible with how we dispose waste. From source, everything that you generate has a place where it can be exchanged for value. You know, maybe that's the first layer of the messaging that we want to establish. And then each person needs to be an advocate for circular economy. We need to begin to tell the story. We need to, you know, whoever has grasped it should not keep it to him or herself, but, you know, begin to share the gospel of circular economy. That's one of the things that the governor has told me, that before the end of this term, everybody must be aware of wealth creation or business opportunity or job opportunity in the area of circular economy. But even at the this is not I marked my name on this plastic. It's not your own. You know, we want things to go that way. Our organic waste, we're a very wasteful society. And if, you know, our young ones are looking at things that they should do, and they're saying cost of starting a business is high. What about the things that you can easily just pack? And I want to help you pack things. And people say, you know, yes, you can have it, but in the back end, you actually know that this is the worth of it. So when you want to help somebody to pack, they'll say, no. Me too, I'm harvesting it for myself. So that's one of the challenges. We want to drive deep to the, you know, the innocuous areas, the interlands, the rural area, get them to understand that there is use for their waste, you know, which inadvertently will improve their quality of life, will improve their health situations, and also improve their economic development as well. Ultimately, we will have less pressure on our infrastructure, you know, like Loma or the landfills that, you know, there is so much, and we still haven't been able to capture the real index of waste management. And that's because, you know, we all know Lagos is overpopulated. 65% of this population is in the informal setting. So there are no, you know, deep structures in those places. So we need to help them to build resilience by adapting themselves and creating value chains that can help them to generate revenue. So our first thing is, you know,
let me take you back to your event you had last week. I think it's very commendable, because I saw a collaboration at work, because we office with the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget and Social Youth and Social Development, as well as other partners. You came together to address because it's even ironic that you're talking about leaving no one behind in a correctional facility. Perhaps you can even help us with the story that actually gingered you to even start with that in the first place, as well as integrating people that are left, so-called perhaps left behind, to be integrated into the mainstream of circular economy.
So the Leave No One Behind was a project that stemmed out of the desire to test and experiment the feasibility of wealth, waste to wealth, waste to green energy. I had gone to that facility 2 years before now because my friend is the principal there, and I thought, you know, what can be done to this place? And sometimes you go to those places and you just think, what sort of money can I give, you know, that will even make a difference? And sometimes you also think about the impact that you must, you know, effect on all of them, or even the infrastructure. I'm looking for a space. I'm looking for if I can call it a model, some place, some platform that I can experiment this. So in my mind, a girls' correctional facility, that's gender inclusivity, you know. In my mind, I thought about the people, the platform and the landscape of partnerships that I was already developing, and I already know their areas, their core competences and what they do, you know. I also thought, we're in Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. Our framework is to enable partnership, enable businesses to be able to scale, to be able to expand operations. But more importantly, we are also supposed to improve economic development within our citizenry so that our budgetary allocations are well spoken for, right? So all of those things popped in my head, and I said, I think this may be a good site to be able to experiment. And by the time we had, you know, done all of the feasibility, had a chat with the girls, with the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, they were open to the idea. The PS of Youth and Social Development was open to the idea. We started to work. And then we realized that even the girls themselves, after we had interviews with them, were very sound girls. Sound girls, you know, people who you would know that there is a future here, there is a gem, there's a treasure. We just need to constructively channel, you know, their mindset. So we thought, okay, let's first and foremost build competence in them. And that was where we got one of our partners, Faith Foundation, to come and help them understand how they can convert their waste. So now they're able to do interior decoration items. They're able to convert plastic into fashion accessories. They can use it for arts and craft, you know, some other things that we also exhibited, you know, at the closeout event. So they are already holding on to that, you know. We've had financial institutions at the closeout event, even before the closeout event, who have said that they would like to put them on their platforms, on their program, to improve the proficiency of what they have learned for about 2-3 months, you know, and also help them to build business cases so that they can have access to funds, you know. So they're going to give them some capital, you know, to run their business, and they're also going to mentor them, right? And this is not even limited to this set of girls. They have that, they want to work with the facility so that they have a statutory plan for every person or every young lady that comes in there. Now, in the area of the waste that was converted into green energy, because we felt that it would be because it's a facility, they eat every day. They are situated in a community where there are quite a number of commercial activities going on. So there are eateries around that place. There is Luth not too far away, and Luth also has a kitchen, right? So understanding that feedstock is going to be quite accessible for them in that space. We just need to engender the community members and sell the benefit of them taking the pain to come and submit or dispose of their waste. So all of those notes started to fall into place as we, you know, continued to roll out on that project. Now, in answer to partnerships, you know that the governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is high on PPP programs, you know. So I always, every time I think about a project, I always feel that we do not have the budget. Government does not have enough budget to be able to impact. But we've learned that with the PPP model, you can get things done. Each person, each partner that we have actualized on this project actually came in on that model. How they can, you know, they can express their output, they can do their own parts of, you know, the value chain, and we can help them to enable their businesses to scale. We're already beginning to work on that. The company that did the biodigester is already, I'm already speaking to the Ministry of Science and Technology, you know, so that they can get onto the platform for a hackathon, and they can also be visible for grants and loans in international, in an international funding capacity, you know. So we want to push partnerships. Our ideal and our idea is that our communities are available for private sector to play with, under the framework of the economic, environmental, social, and governance framework, right? Each private sector, each organization, or each multinational organization have the obligation to contribute to the economic development of the community that they are domiciled. They have obligation for environmental impacts, right? Ensuring that the environment is healthy, it is strong, biodiversity, you know, is as much as possible integrated into the economy, into the environment. They have to also hit their social impact index as well. How many children are touched? How many mothers are touched? How many women are touched, right? And as a government, they owe the obligation to express reports in a form that is accountable, that is transparent, and they can also drive, only from a CSR perspective, but we're also talking to them from an economic, environmental, social, and governance perspective to say, listen, you have a job, you have an obligation, you know, and it's a constitutional right for you to be part of this for the communities that you're in. And we're already doing that. Some of them have already started to talk to us about how they can begin to track the packages of their food. You know, under the Extended Producers Responsibility, they call it the EPR, the FMCGs, the fast-moving consumer good companies, like our Nestle, our Bonvita, and all of that, they owe it to the community and to the government to ensure that they're tracing every of their packages. And they're also able to establish models for the recollection of those packages. And there are budgets that are also instituted and designed for such things. And these are the sort of budgets that we want our communities to know that they are there. We just have to be able to help them to harness and also, you know, plug into those opportunities.
Okay, with all you've been saying, I've been thinking, you know, of a long-term vision, you know, for Lagos to be a leader, you know, for the circular economy practice. What's your long-term vision?
Our long-term vision, like I said, is that we need, the desire is to generate a new revenue stream, economic opportunities within the space, our economic development space, that our young ones can tap into. We are looking for collectors. We are looking for people who can sort. We're looking for people who can aggregate. In the model that we established at the facility at Idiaraba, we already have job, you know, opportunities that are created. Those who are going to be bringing organic waste in opportunities within the value chain in sustainable development right now that are building up. And there are businesses who will also scale and become employers of labor within that space as well. So our vision is to, you know, proliferate the market so that they not only are able to expand their operations, but they're also globally exposed, you know, to the financial opportunities that is sitting for us to be able to access as well.
My final question, I was going to ask that what metrics you use to measure the success of the circular economy. But you've said a lot of things. So with this few points of yours, to convince us and not to confuse me that the circular economy is the way to go. Thank you very much.
I'm happy and I'm hoping that it is not to confuse, that people can just pick the area, the nodes that are appropriate or that are, easily understandable to them, that our first step is as success, my own success, when I begin to hear that there is civic engagement, and they're saying the issue is that people are carrying other people's waste, then I know that I think that we're doing something right. Because right about now, we only have about 4% index of waste management in Lagos. 4%. Question of, what waste? If everybody starts to carry their waste, will there be any waste? There will always be waste.
There will always be waste.
There will always be waste. There will be waste in technology. There will be waste in construction. There will be waste in water funds. There will be waste in science. There will be waste generated at each point in time. How do we purpose? How do we repurpose? Will then be the question. So the success factor would be that I can get as many young ones, because they are innovative, they are technologically driven, they are vibrant. Why the young ones all the time? Because the young ones are the vibrant ones. They are the ones that will think outside of the box. They will take the ideas that we have postulated here. They will take it to the next level. They are the technology driven ones. It's the young ones that develop apps. Right now we have an app, with one of our business management organization, business membership organization. I think it's PACAM. If you have waste, if you download that app, just send in that you have waste, they will come and collect from you. It is by a young person. And we still need a lot more innovations like that. We are talking about 22 million people in Lagos State. So what size of market?
30 seconds. What would give you the most satisfaction? Is it the money you make from this or the social impact?
I think it's, of course.
So the money that we make, the money does not even come to Lagos yet. Like I said again, because we are enablers. So we are only enabling our MSMEs and the private sector to be able to scale and to be able to have access to more markets, right? So the money would be for the private sector and our MSMEs. And then the social impact will be the improved quality of life, the in-depth knowledge about waste management, and also ultimately our improved environment.